This video will be covering very serious topics. Trigger warning for mentions of pedophilia. Please skip this video if you find this subject harmful. Thank you. This video is the sequel to the last video I made about Detective UwU. If you want more context, I suggest checking out that video first. In the last video I made on this subject, I wanted to cover some of the questionable actions made by not only my former friend Detective UwU, but by DIY Arts. Originally, I was more focused on questioning why Detective would platform her after knowing that she kept a pedophile in her Discord server, attacked him and some of his friends/associates, and admitting that I was right and it was wrong to have her be in public spaces. I was not planning on doing an entire expose on DIY because 1, I thought it wasn't necessary to my point, and 2, I thought the situation would be too complicated, convoluted, and involved to really dissect what went down. Suffice to say, I was wrong on that last point. In the last video, I speculate between 3 possibilities that could have happened. Take a wild guess which one it was. 3. It was the third one. I have spoken with Pink. If you are unaware, that is one of the parties that Detective put me towards if I wanted a first-hand account. They have given me insight on the situation and made it clear that Detective was completely misrepresenting what happened in our conversation. Same with last time, all information that I deem is private or too sensitive will be censored. That includes all names except for the Predator, DIY, and the main topic of this video, Detective UwU. I apologize for bringing innocent parties into this, but these roles are important enough for context. Please do not harass any of the people mentioned. Shortly after the release of my last video, Pink contacted me to share what happened from their perspective. All the context will be up on screen, but to keep it brief, Pink was made aware of the Predator and DIY server and wanted to take action to make her aware of the situation. When she informed DIY what happened, they sent a DM of evidence with the Predator's crime. She then claims that she already knew because someone else, who I'll be referring to as Yellow, told her. The image on screen is of Yellow saying for themselves that they sent the video to DIY at the beginning. Here they also state that DIY continued to invite them during VR chat sessions. And with that, we have ended any confusion with the DIY situation, and we can come to the conclusion that she undeniably knew about the Predator and evidence since the very start. Within 1/3 of the time, I was able to get triple the information Detective would give me. Even with all the worthless information Detective gave, I was still able to piece together most of the story. Why, when defending herself, didn't she say anything about not having evidence? Because she did get evidence. Check. Why was she so mad at Lime? Because she knew she was to blame for her actions. Check. How is it possible that while working off the information Detective was using, I was able to put together a more truthful version of events off of pure speculation and cause and effect, contrasted to him, who just believed this obvious dribble even with access to all 3 primary sources at a certain point, and took part in warning people about her negligence? Simple. DIY and Detective are friends now. Every time I asked why she needed to be brought back into his public server, his response was, she deserves a second chance, and she cares for people. When we look at the public who gave her a second chance, her friend group and her Discord server, it's very obvious that the people in charge couldn't have been too mad at her. As you can see on screen, in one of her announcements addressing what happened in her Discord server, one of the mods straight up said that they noticed who the person was but didn't want to ruin the vibe. But I mean, sure, they don't just get along with anybody. Why isn't anyone uncomfortable with her being around? Because all of her friends keep defending what she did and didn't care in the first place. Triple check. I tried to criticize her, and Detective wanted me to believe that she was just finding her footing. He deflects to nobody having the perfect plan for life, but I feel like most people don't need to be told more than once to remove a Predator from their server. Eventually the excuse changes to she didn't understand how severe the situation was, then later becomes she didn't have any evidence at all. I have no idea why Detective would even bother risking bringing DIY back when he didn't even know why she kept the Predator in there to begin with. I feel like that's priority number 1 when deciding whether or not to invite her back. Actually working to find out what happened instead of trying to mend friendships. But since you obviously care so much, Detective, here's a screenshot of another announcement she did where she states that a part of her wanted to give the Predator a second chance. Hope that clears it up for you, Det. It just brings me back to my original point. These people don't care about your protection. They care about their friends. He comes up with some ridiculous story full of consistencies. When I bring up the flaws in his story, does he begin to question them? No, because why would he need to? He just comes up with another BS excuse to make DIY seem more innocent than she is. He wants to make everybody seem equally guilty. Well, newsflash, DIY is an adult. There is no excuse that anybody can give that would convince me to believe that her behavior was okay. In my last video, I planned on trying to keep things focused on Detective's management because he made everything sound far more complicated than it actually was. In reality, it was far more straightforward than I could have imagined. It was Detective who was trying to make this sound more convoluted than it needed to be. He was too busy trying to minimize what she did to take a look at what he was saying and actually think about what was going on. Before we get into this next section, I'd like to pause for a minute and reflect on the past few months. When I spoke to Detective back in April, I expected it to be a one-and-done conversation. I had no intentions of the situation escalating to the point it has now. In the making of my previous video, I was debating on whether or not I would go through with it throughout the entire production. I did not want to send Detective any stress or backstab him, as he made it clear so many times that he hates drama. I went back and forth in my mind even after I finished recording the audio, but ultimately I decided that it was not worth it. I would not put Detective's comfort over letting people know that what he was doing was wrong. I was entirely prepared for the video to fade into the background with 10 views. I was ready for DIY to come to me with proof that she was innocent. I was convinced that I would be attacked for trying to show people that Detective is not a good leader, but I was willing to stick my neck out even for the slightest chance that maybe people could see what I was trying to say. As of me scripting this section, Taking a Stand has almost 300 views. That is more than I could have ever imagined, especially for someone as small as I am, and it is all thanks to you. Thank you to everyone who watched the video. Thank you for sharing it, liking it, and leaving a comment. Thank you to the people who stood by me, even when I was sure that I would fight this battle alone. I could not ask for better friends. And thank you again to the people who contacted me with evidence and allowed me to share it all with the public. It is because of all of you that I am able to stand up for what I believe in, and that is the good and safety of our communities before all else. We have already come so far in this short amount of time, and I won't stop. I will keep spreading the message, not because of drama, but because I owe it to the public to do what I can to keep as many people safe as possible. I see some of you in the comment section of my last video have been struggling with this situation for a time. I see you and I hear you. I will keep fighting because I refuse to take disrespect from people who don't want to take accountability for their wrongdoings, but this is not the end. If you can't tell, the tone of this video is much different than the last one on this subject. Last time I made sure that I articulate myself in a way to ensure that there would be no confusion on my goal. Hold Detective accountable for inviting someone who endangered their community back into his server and doing a stream with her after he said he wouldn't. It has come to my attention that the person who needed to hear it the most has, of course, failed to understand. The first section of this video was intended to be the only section, but I need to put some people in their place. This isn't like last time. I'm not worried about what these people will think because at this point, I don't even care. We're not going to be all somber like before. I'm bringing some new energy. If you thought my last video was drama, you ain't seen nothing yet. I'm done with games. And Detective, if you were pissed before, you won't even have a word to describe what you feel after I'm through with you. To start, I want to backtrack to April real quick. On screen, you're seeing the beginning of a thread of tweets that Detective made about me on the 16th. And I know what you're thinking. Whoa, Melody, calm down there. He doesn't mention you anywhere in these tweets. He could just be talking about redeeming DIY, or just redemption in general. How can you be so sure that he's talking about you? To that I say, let's go back a bit further. DIY rejoined his server on the 1st of April. We had our conversation about her on the server on the 4th. And at this point, we can do a little bit of cross-referencing between these messages and the tweets. The most prominent argument I used in the discussion was that it did not matter if she simply made a mistake because the mistake she made was too big to just come back from. Was the first thing Detective mentions in his post? Him hating people using the greater good to justify their actions. While talking, he always tried to make the situation seem more like a complicated fight between friends than an actual threat to safety. In the tweets, he paints this by saying not everything is black and white. He says this in our conversation as well. In the messages, he claims that DIY is the monster and that she just has trouble controlling her emotions. Tweets, people labeled as monsters just can't express themselves easily. On April 12th, I decided that I no longer wanted to be friends with Detective and I ended things. 4 days later, we get to the thread. If we continue reading the tweets, he says he's seen as a bad communicator and that everybody who he previously associated with gave up on him and how everybody makes mistakes. He admits this in our messages that he struggles with communication, and we've already discussed how he always deflects to DIY making a mistake and giving people second chances. I assume he's talking about me when he says that people gave up on him when he finally started healing, because he also brought that up with me. However, he could also be referring to his previous friend group because he couldn't seem to shut up about that either. Quick addition to this section, but while I was editing the photos for this video, I discovered something that I missed. In Detective's thread, he brings up that he has problems listening. I mentioned feeling ignored in my goodbye message. Revisiting these messages, it was really surprising how much actually lined up with his tweets. It just further adds credibility to my argument that he was alluding to not only our conversation about DIY, but the end of our friendship. Doing some more digging, this isn't the only time he's done this either. While clearly not in the same context, earlier this year, Detective posted about a falling out with old friends. Within this tweet, he removed who he was talking about and the exact specifics of the event that occurred. I don't know if this is intentional or not, but this creates the effect of him looking morally superior without having to disclose why actions were taken. Who needs a second chance and why? What happened in this drama that led to witch hunts? What influencer is he talking about? Why is this influencer trying to silence you? What action is this influencer silencing? Who is this influencer silencing? How is this influencer silencing this person/group of people? By removing context, he makes sure that nobody except the people who know what happened can disagree with him. Because of this, Detective has gotten away with posting things about a situation concerning a certain group of people without any consequences. For someone so terrified of causing a war, he sure loves to poke the bear. And I think that when he made those tweets about me on April 16th, he thought that he could get away with this again. Unfortunately for him, I'm not going to let him play pretend and posture as this enlightened and forgiving person while misrepresenting our whole conversation. This is a monster of his own creation. So, if it's a fight he wants, I'll be happy to give him one. Well, Melody, he also did that stream with DIY on the 12th. He could be talking about that. I mean, yeah, maybe, but if we backtrack one last time, we can see that Detective spoke about making amends with DIY all the way back in December. If these series of tweets were just about him outlining what he wants to do for his community and detailing what it takes to be redeemed in his eyes, why just now is he making it in April when he began thinking about all of this in December? Why not post it on April 1st when she first rejoined his server for her shot at redemption, or the 12th when he went live with her again? Why not post it a couple days after our argument on the 4th to lay some ground rules? It was purely a coincidence that he was streaming the same day I ended our friendship. I had no idea he was even live. If I did, I would have just waited until the next day, or at least when he was done, to cut him off. If I knew what he was doing, I would have just gotten mad at him then to avoid having to write scripts, collect evidence, record edited audio, and then spend hours editing videos. That had nothing to do with my decision. If these tweets have nothing to do with our argument, then why are his arguments so similar? If these tweets aren't about me, why does he mention people using a greater cause to hide who they are? If they're supposed to be about redemption, why does he bring up people cutting him off? What a mystery! I wonder what could have prompted all of this. I don't have access to Twitter. I had to get all of these messages from a third party when I was contacted after my first video on Detective. If I hadn't posted that video, I wouldn't have known anything about this. I don't understand why his reaction to me telling him that I don't feel safe around him is to make a Twitter thread. He was over on a completely different platform dragging me because I said I didn't want to be friends with him anymore and I had no way of defending myself. If he wanted to be virtuous, why bother hiding the mistake that DIY made? Why not just come out and say why she needed to be redeemed? Going back to Detective's community post, he's sick of people thinking healing themselves means going after people who they felt wronged them. I did not make that video to heal myself. I made it to expose his miserable management. I say this in the video. It is impossible to miss. But somehow, making tweets about perks revealing their true colors is not going after people who he feels wronged them. He is projecting. Detective has way more of an emotional connection to this than I do. I didn't even start scripting it till the 18th of April. I put more thought into thinking about scripting the video than it took for Detective to air out his issues publicly. The more you tweet, the stupider you look. Obviously, you didn't take enough time to reflect, if I'm to believe you did it at all. Someone needs to tell Mulan over here to take a break off Twitter for another summer. When are you gonna learn to keep your mouth shut? I didn't take the first shot. You did. Do you seriously think that because you didn't say my name or reference what we were talking about specifically, that it doesn't count as drama? It's okay for you to complain about people not wanting to talk to you anymore, but it's an issue for me to want to tell people about things you don't even have a problem with doing publicly? You seem to love referencing all drama, though. I mean, just look at all the times he's posted and reposted stuff pertaining to drama. I'm supposed to be the one who needs to learn humility? Next time you want to come after me, do it on YouTube where I can see it. You have the ability to make posts. Stop being scared and say what you're thinking to my face. The reason why I didn't want to be friends with Detective wasn't even entirely because of our argument, but instead what he said at the end. The message on screen was the final nail in the coffin for our friendship, but honestly, this was a long time coming. I wanted to preface everything I'm about to say with I never saw me and Detective as anything near close friends, so take this section with a grain of salt. He claims he saw us as close, but especially given current events, I do not believe this to be the case. We knew each other for 2 years, but I don't think that really means all that much when it comes to this. We didn't speak too often, and after a while of being in contact, I felt like he only kept me around when he needed someone to call to do some art for him. The first big project I did for him was a cover of a Has-Been song. He needed 4 drawings to use, and he told me that he wanted them as soon as possible. At the time, I finally got some free time to do what I wanted, and I already had plans to make some content for my channel. I wanted to try a multitask at first, but I realized it just wouldn't be worth it, and I tried to focus entirely on what Detective needed me to do. It took me a while to finish, because I genuinely loathed this project. He asked for it in June, and I didn't finish it until July. 9 days later, I realized the video still had not been posted. This confused me because Detective told me he wanted the drawings ASAP. It turns out the video wasn't actually done and it wouldn't be posted until August. I sat around for weeks, forcing myself to do something for him, and he can't even be bothered to post the video in a timely manner. And I hate that it took me so long. I should have tried harder than I did to finish. I still feel guilty for taking that much time, even though it was such a big project. I tore myself apart because I was thinking he was waiting on me, and the whole time the video wasn't even done yet. I threw away my opportunity to make something for myself in exchange for something I didn't really want to do. The next time we speak in DMs, he's asking me yet again for more art. He says that he wants a thumbnail ASAP, and also, yet again, does not give me any notice. I did not respond to the message because I do not see it before he messages me again. He tells me that he won't be able to get the video out as soon as he would like, and that's good news because it gives me more time to work on it. At this point, I hadn't even agreed to do it yet. He just assumed that I would be okay with it. He didn't even ask me what I was up to or if I was busy. He didn't ask if I was okay. He treated me like I was purely a business partner. If I had seen that original message, I would have declined because I was busy doing other things. But he seemed so dead set on me doing this for him, so I did it anyway. Truthfully, it is partially my fault for not drawing enough boundaries with him. Part of me was scared that by doing this, I would drive a wedge between us because a lot of the times that we spoke, he did need me to do art for him. But he still could have been more considerate of my time. I'm not gonna act like we never had fun together and that we never had any good times, but to say that we were close friends and then treat me this way is just a mischaracterization of our relationship. We could have become closer over time, but all chances of that were squandered because he doesn't respect me. He seems to think that my entire world revolves around him because I don't talk to the same people he does. I do have other friends, I just don't want to talk to the stupid people he talks to. I am a very quiet and introverted person. I don't talk to people unless I want to or I have to. In the original video about this topic, the first message that I showed between him and I shows me that I don't like overstepping my boundaries. I've been like this the entire time he's known me. This isn't new. If he thought I was struggling so much with faking connections, why was I never invited to do any streams with him? Of course, there were times where I was on call in stream, but we never discussed any times where I could join in with him and the rest of his friends while playing games. The one time he did ask was when playing VR chat, and I declined. At the time, I was joking around and said that I didn't believe in the game. That's simply because I didn't want to get into why I didn't want to play the game while he was streaming. I don't have VR chat, and I have no interest playing VR chat. The idea of the game makes me uncomfortable, and I just think it's lame in general. There was never a time when I was invited to play UnO, yet DIY could play UnO with him. Simply after a week he said he wouldn't stream with her, and he said that I needed more friends. If there was a game I could play, I played it. I tried to join in as much as I could while he was streaming Among Us, Gartic Phone, Jackbox, and Scribbly.io. Why is it now that he needs to criticize who I do and don't talk to? Because he always needs the last word in. This isn't the only time either. A while ago, he attempted a 48-hour live stream. In the pre-stream, someone mentions to him that it would probably be smarter to do a 24-hour live stream first. I follow up behind them and say that a 12-hour live stream could be a good idea too.
Is this going
Detective,
okay?
why do a 48-hour stream when you haven't done a 24-hour stream yet? Because 24-hour streams are for
A meeting?
Lo and behold, he fails, because of course he does. Some while after, he announces that he wants to try and build up to doing it again after a few more years of experience.
When I've got better equipment, an overall better idea of what I should be doing, a better strategy. So, my thought is, this semester, sometime after the content quiz that I talked about, I do a 12-hour stream. On a weekend, of course. I'm always doing weekends in terms of these long streams. And then, sometime in the spring, next semester, a 24-hour challenge. No, I'm not doing a 48-hour challenge again. No, I'm not ready for that yet. We already determined that. I can easily do 12. You've seen me do 12. So I'll start with that maybe maybe around November. I probably won't aim for finals again. I'll probably do it like before Thanksgiving. And then a 24-hour one in spring to build myself up, to be prepared for a 48-hour attempt sometime down the road. It's not gonna be for like a few years. The 48-hour second attempt's not gonna be for a few years. Like I said, for that, I want better equipment. I want a better idea of what I'm doing, and probably a better game list as well. I could do it from like noon to midnight on a Saturday or Sunday if that works. Okay, Melody, the thing was, I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to do a 48-hour one, but I was going to give it my best. I went 32 fucking hours. That's insane. No one in the right mind should be streaming for 32 hours in any given circumstance, but I did anyway.
To quote a great chatter, 32 is less than 48, buddy. He then feels the need to educate me on how I need to be more soft-spoken with him. Literally, the first message I sent to him was wishing him well during one of his depressive episodes. How much nicer does he want me to be? As a mod on both his YouTube channel and the Discord server, I took it upon myself to try and be a bit more of an active community member. So I tried to be more social and interact with the entire chat as much as I could, instead of just the people I consider to be my friends. Is that still not good enough for him? The next thing he tells me is what really sets me off. Detective wants me to go outside my comfort zone, and in the most condescending way possible tells me that Splatoon doesn't have to be my everything. Wow, what a nice person. Yes, it's true. I adore Splatoon with all my heart. I love the characters, I love the world, I love the style and the self-expression, I love the art, I love the color, I love the music, I love watching and rewatching the live concerts over and over again, I love watching the behind the scenes of the band and singers working to make the songs come to life, I love all the Splatoon plushes that I have, I love all of the Splatoon amiibo that I have, I love using the Nintendo Switch Online app to stalk what maps and modes are in rotation, I love watching people dive deep into the lore, be it involving the actual story or just the clothing brands. I love the community. I love it when the creators come up with new minigames to play in private battles. I love it when friends make videos of just enjoying themselves in Salmon Run. I love seeing fan art. I love making fan art. I love playing Salmon Run. I love playing Big Run. I love playing Ranked. I love waiting for the next Splatfest. I love playing in Splatfest. I love the discussions that take place when it's time to pick teams. I love defending my team during the weekend. I love staying up late to catch the results before I get spoiled in the morning. I love seeing everybody rep their teams in the plaza. I love seeing the idol performances. I love hearing the special music that only plays during Splatfest. I love seeing the new ink colors. I love seeing the stages at night. I love the competitive community. Some of my favorite creators take part in the competitive scene. I want to be a comp player someday. I love learning more about the game. I love studying new weapon comps. I love learning how to play better. I love watching competitive sets. I love learning about new and old teams. I love learning more about players. I love learning new techniques. I love watching people dissect the latest patches. I love watching the game evolve over time. I love watching how to play on certain maps and modes. I love practicing. I love playing Splattershot and Heavy Splatting and Edit Splatting and Sloshing Machine and Reflex and N-Zap and Splatterscope. I love using Trizuka and Wavebreaker and Tacticooler and Booyah Bomb. I love analyzing my gameplay to see how to improve. My whole life, people laughed at me for caring so much about a game they knew nothing about. So for a detective, someone who I consider to be my friend, to come at me for one of my greatest passions when I finally got the confidence to share some of that love with the rest of the world was earth-shattering. I do not know what possessed him to say something as ignorant as that comment he made. I love Splatoon, but I also have other things I really care about. Off the top of my head, here are some of my other interests. My favorite franchise ever is Sonic the Hedgehog. I have been following the community for years. I love how creative the community is. I love hearing conversations discussing details I never even thought about. I love learning more about the Sonic stories I didn't get to experience. I love reading the comics every month. I love the characters. I love drawing Sonic. I love the music. I love the cartoons. I love the movies. I spent $100 on the Sonic Hypeland Letterman jacket to wear to the Sonic 3 movie on opening night. I bought a pair of Jordans to match with the fit. I love Hello Kitty. I love My Little Pony. I love Build-A-Bear. I love Tinkerbell. I love Winx. I love Monster High. I love Arcane. I am highly invested in Miraculous. I love keeping up with the Marvel movies and TV shows. I love Spider-Man and the most recent trilogy of movies. I love learning random new pieces of lore while scrolling through shorts. I love singing. I love writing. I love purple. I love watching animation channels. I love learning more about animation. I love watching reviews about cartoons and movies. I enjoy keeping up with the gaming sphere. I love video essays. I like hearing people talk about interesting topics. And once upon a time, I wanted to do commentary content. So hopefully this video and the last one was a good enough deviation in my usual content for you, Detective. Within about the last year, Detective made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 posts about football on YouTube. These were made almost weekly. Compare that to my 11 posts about Splatoon. These posts were infrequent and posted sporadically throughout the months. 2 of which were made for Marie Day, which is a reoccurring event every year, and 3 posts were promotions for speedruns that I did. Yet somehow, I'm the one who needs to get called out for having an obsession. That would be like if I told Detective, hey man, I know you really love the game and all, but you should really focus on getting another girlfriend instead of talking about football all the time. Could someone please tell me why I should be listening to this band geek? Like, please. Loser. Here again on Twitter, Detective goes off on another rant about me, this time concerning my video I made about him and DIY. The entire thread is just lies filled with a complete lack of evidence to back up his claims while sucking off DIY in the process. I put actual effort into compiling enough proof to go through with my thesis, and then this guy just thinks he can combat it with hearsay. Honestly, I would be offended if it weren't so easy to disprove his nonsense. Detective claims that there is evidence that she wasn't informed about the Predator in her server. We already covered that DIY was aware of the Predator at the time Pink told her. In my original video, I asked DIY or any other party with evidence to come forward if she was innocent. I was never contacted by anyone in defense of DIY. I highly doubt this proof Detective is talking about even exists. You mean to tell me he can find a way to insert a picture of his friends in VR chat in the thread, but he can't find any evidence? If it did exist, I don't understand why he didn't look for it and put it anywhere in his tweets. He claims I only got involved when I got hurt. I'm sorry, what were you lying? I got involved when I found out that she was in his server and I contacted him. I took the most peaceful measure I could have. I didn't complain in the server. I talked to him privately in DMs. I could not have been more emotionally detached. I told him several times that I don't care what he did privately. I had no investment on what he did in his friend group. I only cared about the server. I even say that when I told him I didn't want to talk anymore. That doesn't really come across as someone who was hurt. I was mad because he wouldn't communicate, but I wasn't hurt. I didn't even post a video because I was hurt. I posted it because he lied about what he was doing to keep people safe. I say this in my reasoning for making the video. At no point did I even attack Detective for associating with her. Even if you consider calling him a liar to be an attack, I only did it because they were live together, not because I was offended that they were friends. I don't know why he's putting safety in quotes when DIY literally invited a pedophile to VR chat with minors present, but go off. All of this is easily disproven by actually watching the video. He's blatantly lying about me on a platform where I once again have no means of defending myself. How is this supposed to be addressed to me if I literally cannot respond? I do not care about who DIY is as a person. That does not affect my point and it is irrelevant to the larger issue. She could be the nicest person on the planet, which I don't believe due to accounts from not only Detective but some of my other sources who I've spoken to. But even if she changed, it does not matter when it comes to public safety. I made this clear to Detective privately and I said it in my last video. I am not a victim of DIY. I never pretended to be because I have no personal feelings towards her at all. We were never friends. I am not judging her as a personality because I don't care. I was never trying to tear her down. You were my primary focus in that video, Detective. I literally said I would apologize if she came out and wanted to show me she was innocent. I was only judging her based on her ability to run a public space and be a public figure. Knowing what I know now, I am even more confident than last time to say that she is in no way responsible or trustworthy enough to do so. Not DIY, Detective, nor anyone else is entitled the opportunity to be a YouTuber. You need to build your way up to be respected. You get one chance to prove yourself capable of keeping your community safe. Once you blow it as bad as these two did, you need to retire and move on to other avenues. And that is okay. Not everyone is qualified to be an influencer. That does not make you a lesser person. What does make you worse off is knowing that you are not cut out for this position and then forcing yourself back into these spaces anyway. Detective complains some more on number 1 about me being a hypocrite for trying to avoid drama while saying his name. The thumbnail of that video was literally more than drama. I meant this to have 2 meanings. The first being that I am not making this video to cause problems and I only want to say things that are relevant. The second being, people like Detective and his friends do not understand that this situation is bigger than them. The point of the entire first section of the video outlines this purpose. This is not hidden. But evidently, I overestimated Detective's abilities of basic comprehension. I do not understand why they think they can get away with misrepresenting me so obviously. And even if I was making that video for the sake of drama and nothing else, that does not discredit what I say. All the information stays the same. Using the "it's just drama" excuse does not change the fact that Detective still lied. Like, would it have been different if I didn't say his name? I doubt it, because there are people who weren't even in the video, and they still caught strays. I don't think I'm the only petty one here. How else was I supposed to get my point across? Why would I bother making a whole video to keep people safe if I don't tell the public about the people threatening their safety? Where's the logic? Does he think by not saying my name in any of these tweets he's not engaging in drama? What constitutes as drama in his eyes? Is it only when he says so? I contacted him privately. We spoke for 3 hours! He threw everything I said out the window within 8 days! We were still supposed to be friends at the time he went live. He didn't even listen to me when I told him that it was a bad idea to try a 48-hour live stream. Am I supposed to be stupid enough to believe that having another talk with him would have changed anything? What more could I have possibly done to convince him? If you check out his friend group called The Outsiders, they've all got sub numbers in the triple digits. Is that what I was missing? If I got a few dozen more subscribers, would Detective have listened to me? You want to know what's hypocritical? Him complaining about people not knowing when to stop being in drama when he continues to post about his experiences with drama. Obviously, you're not over it yet, dude. Detective loves complaining about the Sonic community and blaming them for every drama he's ever been in, but now he finds them credible enough when it comes to somebody he likes. Either you're part of the community or you aren't. Don't blame us for your problems and then use this as a defense when you don't have anywhere else to turn to. This isn't the only time he switched sides like this either. When this situation first unfolded, Detective was writing about how DIY kept backtalking him to some of her friends. Their name is censored for the sake of privacy, but one of these names is a member of his new group. He sure didn't have a problem with me calling them slow in the past, but now they're best friends. Notice how a lot of the people from your old friend group are in my comment section, Detective, and the only people engaging with your fantasies on Twitter are your new friends? This isn't me versus you, it's you versus you. You are fighting a battle against yourself. Is your new pathetic little clique called the Outsiders because nobody likes you? All of a sudden, I'm not mature anymore because I stood up for myself? Was I just supposed to roll over and allow myself to get disrespected? Is changing your views on me supposed to hurt my feelings? You never took anything that I said that seriously anyways. The whole time we were talking, you were off contacting DIY and conversing with another third party. Then you had the nerve to tell me that you were going to shut me down because it was your decision? You clearly never thought of me as much as you say you did because you wouldn't think of turning me away when I'm trying to bring up a problem with your management. Want to know how many times I thought of just going public about DIY while we were still talking in DMs? None, because I thought highly enough of you to expect you to listen to someone who you said was mature and to have some sort of professionalism when it comes to serious matters. But you don't even have enough professionalism to post a video within the same month after I send you all the assets you said you wanted ASAP. I guess we were both mistaken, huh? You never helped me with anything. You didn't teach me anything. We barely knew each other. My life would probably change for the better if we never met. The only thing I gained from being around you is experience taking commissions while doing your artwork for free. Do you want to know why everyone knows the story by now, Detective? Because I told them! I had to, otherwise no one would know the truth of what happened. You would have gladly ate whatever slop your idiot friends shoved down your throat. You never stopped being codependent. You just swapped which team you were on. Your entire defense for DIY is exactly what I said that you said in my video. Everyone already knows this. You repeating yourself does not make you right. At no point do you respond to the actual points that I made against you with real concrete evidence. I already know that most of the information you gave me was worthless because I said so in my video. You are arguing against yourself. We had a discussion on equal terms about what to do and you agreed not to have her in public. Then you turn around and disregard what we talked about, while we were still friends nonetheless. I didn't just feel betrayed. I was betrayed, Detective! You betrayed me! In the end, you were right about one thing. It's not always obvious who monsters are. You were hiding right under my nose the entire time. Want to know your problem? You love hiding behind the morality of redemption to justify protecting people who don't deserve it. And you would have gotten away with it too, if you had just shown a little restraint and waited just a little while longer for my homepage to clear you out. But you just couldn't resist proving me right for that long. He wants to talk about accountability until it's time to actually stand on business. The moment I called him out on his actions and try to hold him accountable, that makes me immature. Then he likes to pretend like he isn't responsible for his own downfall. He never listened to anything I told him. He abandoned all of his old friends. He sold me out for DIY. Someone who harbored a criminal in her server for months. Someone who was willing to let him lie on her behalf. Someone willing to let him look stupid for defending her. That's the sign of a truly loving and caring human, people. That's his family. But yes, you, Rando, as a part of his community, you will be protected by him. He won't trade you for anyone else like he did his old friends. He certainly won't throw you under the bus like he did his friend of 2 years. You, random member of his community, are different. And I'm just so unaware of how heart works. But you're such a loving and caring person, right? If that's so true, then why is half your old friend group in contact with me, and I haven't even spoken 2 words to most of them? If that's the case, then why is your ex in my DMs? Me personally, I wouldn't have a falling out that bad with one of my partners, to the point where they're talking to the person on the opposing side of my argument. You want me to take somebody named Detective UwU seriously? You want me to listen to someone who can't even maintain a stable group of friends? You want me to take life advice from someone who cries on livestream about their old high school friends who were such meanie faces? Hard pass. Psst. Hey, detective. Respond to the criticism! Why did you say that DIY couldn't be in public just to invite her into your live stream? Why would you invite her back into your server when you didn't even know the full story? Why are you deflecting to how great and awesome and perfect DIY is? Why is it that I was the one who needed to come out and tell people what was going on? Why didn't you say what the mistake was in your first thread about me? Why are you trying to hide what she did? Stop repeating herself. Stop moving the goalposts. Stop deflecting. Engage in the conversation! To quote you, detective, your server is dead. There is no one left because you drove everyone away. It was the only friend left with common sense. You have gotten rid of everyone who was close to you in exchange for a new group of Discord demons, Twitter idiots, and VR chat clowns, along with DIY arts, someone who has proven herself to be ignorant, untrustworthy, and negligent. I can say for sure now to absolutely stay away from DIY arts. Under no circumstances should she be allowed to have a YouTube presence or a Discord server. This issue is far too great to just recover from. It would be best for everyone if she just left the internet. As for Detective UwU, you have failed in your goal. You have brought little to no good to any community I've seen you in. Any goodwill you have managed to build up over the years, you have erased. Somehow I, a singular person with a measly 39 subscribers and 19 videos, has done far more to protect the public's interest than you have in over a year with 160 subscribers and a group of people you view as your friends. I told you. You would regret not listening to me, and look where that brought you. This is in no way how I planned this to go down. But you asked for this. I told you what you needed to do, and you agreed. Then you can't even wait a week before you backstab me. Now that I finally had to speak out against you, that makes me heartless in your eyes. I am not going to sit by while knowing that you actively put people at risk for friends you think are worthy. As a proud member of not only the Sonic and Splatoon communities, but also the YouTube community as a whole, I will call out people that put me and others in danger. I won't stand for people taking advantage of their power to make my communities worse. I have not fallen into darkness. I have always remained true to my principles. You are the only villain here. You are responsible for everything you hate. This drama is your fault. You decided to attack my character. You used drama as a shield to ignore all criticisms. Drama does not follow you. You follow drama. The situation was your fault. You brought the toxicity into your community. You only want to listen to people who will affirm your delusions. You actively put people at risk for the sake of redeeming someone who is not worthy of public attention. You are the problem. You have always been a problem. You have done nothing but cause more pain. I hope you're happy with every decision you took to get here. I hope all of your new friends were worth losing all the old ones. I hope redeeming DIY was worth losing all of your connections. I hope that hiding away on Twitter got you the response that you wanted. I hope that trying to make me out to be the bad guy was worth this entire video dragging you across the coals. I stand by my previous judgment. You are not fit to be a leader. You don't know when it's time to separate your friends' opinions from the good of your community. You don't know how to take criticism. You would sell out anyone who disagrees with you in exchange for yes men. You are not built for being a content creator. This one last time, I ask you to do the right thing. Remove DIY from your YouTube page and stop platforming her. Admit that you were wrong in your judgment and disclose the exact situation that happened to whatever little audience you have left. Don't bother trying to hide your failures on Twitter. Put it on YouTube where everyone, including me, can see it. You should be perfectly okay doing so because I laid out all the proof you need. I'm not even asking for an apology for your lies, misinformation, and backstabbing. Let this be the end of it once and for all. I don't want to see any more lies. Should I find out that you can't stop running your mouth, we can keep going even further. I'd rather not make another video, but I can take it there if you want to cause more problems. The ball is in your court. So, if you hate drama as much as you say you do, I'd suggest listening to me for once in your life and shut up.